show working, baby.
Okay, we're live.
All right, we're live. Good deal. Jimmy Doane Show back on the air. 4 o'clock. We're only 1 minute late tonight. So
Hey.
This is a new deal for us.
It's getting better.
We're getting better all the time. That's right. So we're live. You can call in, of course, to that number up there on the wall, and we might even answer it. What we're hoping, of course, is that we don't get some sales call or something. Unfortunately, this is not an exclusive number. Or I think you can, type us a little note or something like that.
Right there on the YouTube.
Right there on the YouTube, yeah. So anyway, we've had fun. Today is Wednesday the something or 24th or something.
Yeah, I think so.
August, and 24th, and 2016. I have basically, before we get to my little stack of stuff here, which is almost 3/4 of about the South China Sea, or South China area.
Okay.
But before that, I'm telling you right now, I would imagine that there's going to be a dramatic increase in suicides between now and November 8th. I mean, they are blanketing everything with ads, and the Fox News and CNN. That's all they talk about.
I mean the candidates.
Yeah, I mean it's all about the election. Now I will say they did today. They had a big deal in Italy.
The earthquake.
The quake, right? And they took some, they took some time out for that. But basically, it's back to the candidates and the pundits are there. Well, today, it's different from yesterday. Let me just tell you. And they
breaking news.
Breaking news, right?
Donald Trump is
has
back in front,
something else,
back
right?
behind.
And they have on the. Of course, these guys have got a travel schedule that's just. Who can do that?
Yeah.
I mean, they are like, 12 things a day. For God's sakes, give me a break. And they're giving this Trump speech, so to speak, stump speech, excuse me. 5, 6, 8 times a day. I would think that the laryngitis would kick in so fast.
It does before the end of it. I mean, they've got it pretty well figured out how to push the candidate right to the edge. A la Harding. Dies on the campaign trail,
right?
But fortunately, we got a little bit better. They can wheel you onto the jet, stick you with the IV, put you in the back, give you the massage, treat you like you just were a prize fighter out of Vegas or something, and have you pumped up and ready to go by the time the plane lands.
It is like the same old. And of course, I do listen to this a progressive station,
right?
And of course, what they're
how can you not?
Right. Well, no. There's Fox News is pretty much.
That's a Republican station.
Republican, but I mean the progressive are the liberal lefties,
right?
And again, they parse everything out in exactly the opposite from the other guys.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, it's just, and it's personality conflicts, nothing to do with what's going on.
They got nothing. They're grasping at straws. It's entertainment. I mean,
It's not entertainment anymore.
Well, it's supposed to be. What I mean is that's all it is entertainment. I mean, if you're not getting any information out of this news cycle, it's who do you love to hate, and
well, I tell you, I've just unfortunately I've got my I turned on. I don't listen to the radio, and of course I don't have a TV anymore. So and the only time I listen to anything like that is in the car on Sirius XM, and I do sometimes switch around between the ones to find out how silly they both are. Actually,
they
talk about stuff.
It's crazy talk at this point,
Yeah. But it's just, again, I would imagine there's some people that are just going to be tearing their hair out, just or whatever. And the same family, they have families.
What I want to know is what happens if Trump wins. Yeah. I mean, if Trump wins, the media is going to lose their mind. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's going to be conspiracy theory, stolen election.
It's going to be fraud. They're just laying the ground for the fraudulent thing. Not that it hadn't happened before, but still they're going to, they're going to zero in on this as the, hanging Chad, whatever, something like that. I mean, what the heck are you talking about? Why did the Supreme Court ever weigh in on that? I'll never know.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was a bad one. That was Robert's court too, wasn't it? He was
no there yet.
Oh, he wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so enough of that.
Okay. We're going to transition.
We're going to transition to China. North Korea, actually. This is the Norks.
Working baby. Yeah, 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 I'm gonna ride on. Well, I tried in New York City. Oh.
Okay.
Are we back?
Almost.
Almost back.
You're back.
Okay, good. I'm back now. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't see the screen, so I don't know.
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm
no.
just doing this blind.
Yeah.
Anyway, the news that I thought was kind of interesting was the North Korea test fires a sub-launched missile
Yes.
close to Japan.
Yes.
Man, I'll tell you, if there's not tensions down there in the South China Sea area and so forth like that, this is the kind of stuff that is, and of course they're all the Japanese and the Philippine, I'll talk about that in a minute, they're all the shaky finger and everything, and
Sure.
we sternly object and everything, and the North says, nah, nothing here, no big deal, we're just, this is just a test firing, and of course they're having the joint exercises now with about 70,000 troops all over the place out there, and no, defend, we're just testing, we're playing, these are called the, Southeast Asia Games, that's all it is. So anyway, they fired it around 300 miles towards Japan. Obviously, weapons analysis called it a clear step forward for its nuclear strike ambitions. The short, I don't know, SLBM, whatever that is. That's
Sub-launched.
Sub-launched ballistic missile, right? Which would take North Korea's nuclear strike to a new level, allowing for deployment of far beyond the Korean Peninsula, and a second strike capability in the event of an attack. I mean, that's what you got the submarines for.
Right.
And so, you don't want to attack them
So
without...
you can't glass them after the first
No,
one, because then
no.
they hit you.
They hit you again.
In Los Angeles, up and down.
Right.
Unless you want to provoke them to hit.
This is what it's looking like. I mean, this is what's so funny about this. The people that analyze this stuff says the test certainly seems to have been successful, and in fact, North Korea said, well, we held back and we fired it at an angle that would only go 300 miles. He said, but if we had, angled it at the correct angle, 45 or what the hell it was, it would have gone 1,000 miles.
Right.
And so, we're the good guys here.
Yeah.
We're watching out.
We're, like you said, holding back.
That's right. So, of course, what's interesting, we talk about this all the time, talk, and the current UN resolutions prohibit North Korea from any use of ballistic missile technology. But Pyongyang, or whatever it is, as they say, the guy, what's his name, they just waved it aside, thumb their nose at him, say, take your resolution and shove it.
Right.
And of course, what the United States has decided to do, not content with having 60 or 70 years on the demilitarized zone there in between North and South Korea. They are now deploying something called the THAAD missile system, which is an anti-missile defense system. Supposedly, nobody thinks it couldn't possibly work. I mean, the fact is that, well, if you fire from North Korea to Seoul, I mean, it's about a 30-second trip.
You put them right on the border there. They're supposed to be.
You fire them from a submarine. How are you going to do that?
You get pretty close.
Close is not, close is okay in horseshoes and hand grenades.
No, it's close enough. I got the map of the area pulled up behind you.
Okay.
And what you can see there, if you look closely, is Korea's only. You could put a sub on the border of North and South Korea on either side of the peninsula. And intercept pretty much anything going over there before it gets down to South Korea.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And then if you need to, you just give it to the South Koreans. You just put it in there.
Put what in there?
The missile defense system.
No, that's what they're doing.
Okay, but I'm just saying you don't have to have it on the sub. You can have it on there.
No, it's not. No, the sub is the North Korea firepower thing.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
if you're trying to
protect
protect
land-based THAAD system,
right?
Well,
that's the thing about the subs. It's very difficult to defend. It's like
the experts have said. The experts have said.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's even our guys have said good luck with that. So anyway, again I just mentioned this is Seoul and Washington. Who are they? Exactly, two guys. They said our joint exercises are purely defensive in nature, but Pyongyang views them as willfully provocative, as you would expect. I mean, you amass a boatload of aircraft carriers, destroyer ships, and everything. 75.
Park them right off the coast.
Park them right off the coast. I mean, why? You know, what do you?
Nothing provocative
Yeah,
here.
no, nothing there. You know, it's the taunting, the flouting of the law, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the North says we will deal strongly and sternly with any provocation by the North, says the South, and they've reinforced our treaties that we have with all those people over there in Southeast Asia area, Japan, and South Korea, and everything. And an attack on one of them is an attack on us, and all that stuff.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's number one. I mean, it hadn't worked out all that great in Vietnam or in the Middle East or something, and we get
Or like anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere, right.
That's kind of the reason, like we were talking about yesterday, the borders of your country. And the reason you have the borders is because, you fight for them if they're attacked, for the most part. But when you start having treaties where we're going to fight for the other people, then you get all into sort of, what are they called? Entangling alliances.
Entangling alliances, right. Exactly. Well, I mean, you think about it. Here we are defending, 60 years ago, we were dropped a couple of A-bombs on Japan, and now we're their umbrella shield, whatever it is, for how things change. I mean, it's just amazing. You're sitting there thinking, this is obviously the arrogance.
And one of Trump's suggestions is let them defend their own selves.
Right.
And I mean, of course, the counter argument to that is, well, then they're going to get an army and missiles and whatever else, and then if they decide to turn on us, they've got the capacity. Versus if we are just the world's...
We're not already, though. That's the problem.
What?
Well, I mean, when North Korea is moving right along here in their abilities to do stuff. Syria is too.
Yeah. Well,
no matter how you slice it, Syria is too. And I suppose if we pissed off Israel enough, I know. But Pakistan and India,
Yeah.
I mean,
they got nukes.
Are you kidding? They got boatloads of both of those guys do, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and they haven't killed each other yet.
Not yet, right?
They fight over Kashmir all the time.
Well, what's interesting is this was the mad defense that we had during the Cold War.
That's right.
Mutually assured destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Washington also condemned the test, and the U.S. commitment to the defense of South Korea is ironclad, he says. So
right.
So anyway, the Norks, the talkie. Maybe we won't bomb everybody. It's just interesting to see that they are high level talks, secret behind the thing. We had back channels and.
What else are they going to do?
I mean, jerking off. I mean, I just.
Well, the thing. I mean, from my perspective, the thing to do is just to continue to try to crush, economically speaking, or rebound and crush, and the rich countries will be able to defend themselves.
Yeah, but we're getting poorer by the day.
That's why I said rebound.
Trillion. Well, let me tell you, we can talk about this particular thing another time. We've talked about it before. But we're getting poorer by the minute, and bad poorer. So we're stretched pretty thin, you think about it.
Yeah, but I mean, relative to the other people that we might get in a war with, our economy is still productive, very productive. And even though it's all being sucked off by various sources, and debt and whatever else, I mean, if we had to blow everybody off and then blow everybody up when we when it comes to that.
Yeah, life is think happy thoughts.
Yeah, right.
While you're about it. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Doesn't kick in right away.
I'm gonna have to get faster with that.
Can't you put a hotkey for that?
No, I have to switch programs is the problem. I can eventually, but.
And I'm gonna try it on you.
All right. Back?
And we're back.
All right. Okay, good. We're back. Jimmy Doane Show here on YouTube, and you can watch it later on after it gets posted. Write us a note. Share. Comments are welcome. This is great stuff. So, moving on, another South Sea, East Asia, whatever it is, thing is the Philippines.
The Philippines.
Philippines, Duterte warns China of a reckoning. again, I guess, I don't know, this, they all speak different languages over there, so if somebody decided to translate. Philippine President,
Right.
whatever his name is, warned Wednesday of a reckoning with China if there was no resolution to a tense dispute over rival claims to the South China Sea. An international tribunal, as we talked about before last month in The Hague, said that China was, not, you don't have rights to those places there, and China basically says, yeah, we do, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
And so, of course, being a sweeping victory for the Philippines, you can imagine the Philippine, jungle army showing up on, in China, and decided to take China out or something. I don't think so. He said he didn't want to anger China with an aggressive response, and sent an envoy to ease tensions. Talk. But on Wednesday, he signaled he was prepared to adopt a more confrontational approach. Who knows?
Well, that's
I will not raise hell now because of the judgment, the one from The Hague.
right.
But we'll have to do some reckoning about this, he said to a bunch of soldiers at a soldier camp of some kind. They've called for direct, even China has called for direct talks with the Philippines, but insisted it's not going to change its stance. Well, what's that all about?
Well, that's what you have to say.
Right, as Trump says, you start off with
That's it. You start off with you're asking for everything,
right,
and then but you're going to go in there and talk to them because that's just the way we.
Well, that's just the Philippines, of course. Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan also have claims to the sea,
Right.
Which is believed, and here's the reason why. Guess what? It's believed to sit atop vast gas reserves, and of course, $15 trillion of shipping.
15 trillion.
15 trillion annual shipping trade. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, it figures. I mean, it goes everywhere, all over the world. So when you think about it, that makes perfect sense. Both ways, remember now. It goes. So you can see where the 15 trillion comes from.
Still sounds like a lot.
And even if it's only 10,
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. In his first cabinet meeting, he's new. Duterte is new. Said he would not taunt or flaunt a successful verdict, which was handed down by the Hague.
Right.
So he said, hopefully have formal talks with China next year about this. So what's going to happen? Nothing?
Well, it's interesting because obviously China is the big dog on the block there. And, with Japan.
They're right there.
Right, yeah. And,
it's not like they have to go 8,000 miles from San Francisco.
No, exactly. And even though Japan is sort of right there, you can see from this map behind you that Japan has the East China Sea in between it and the South China Sea.
Right.
So, it's 500 miles, every bit of 500 miles from the South China Sea. And...
but if a conflict arose there, that would, they certainly do a ton of shipping through there.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to figure all the stuff they do with Africa and Europe and everything all goes through there.
Yeah, there's plenty of room for ships to go through there, and you would think that.
But if China is, like they're having the islands there, they're either building them or building stuff on them. And of course, then they have the 20-mile limit, maybe, or something, sovereignty and everything. Well, those are starting to overlap all over the place.
Well, and that's what's going to be talked out, hopefully, over the next few years or decade or whatever, as they decide.
Good luck on lasting that long before somebody pushes a bouton.
Yeah, there's plenty of room there for people to assign like 10-mile wide shipping lanes. That go between and among all of the countries there with a couple of intersections or something. There's plenty of room for that. Now, as you know, though, it's usually still even in today's world, the first one who sets up shop usually owns the place.
Right.
And that's what China's doing. They're wheeling out the trucks and the jets and everything else. They're building those atolls, those little coral reefs into actual islands.
Right.
And they're putting armaments on there. And they're not just for games.
No. Well, they got an air base on one of them, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I mean, that's like, in it.
That's in it. That's
and
right.
As far as they're concerned, it's called the South China Sea for a reason.
Exactly. And they're thumbing their nose at the Hague's ruling,
Right.
on the stupid dashed line or whatever it is that they say.
Yeah, right.
You know,
I love that. If you're looking down from a satellite, where's that dashed line?
there it is.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long the Chinese allow the West to impose some sort of regulatory scheme on their shipping lanes, and
We'll see. Yeah, we will see, because it's
we're
it's
gonna
not
see.
looking it's not looking all that great. Because I mean, we're scolding everybody. I mean, everybody in the world. We're shaking our finger, writing them a note, having a meeting, and so that's it. Okay, done with that.
Okay. Where are we going to next?
Actually, this has a little bit to do with trade with China and Asia. It's about some electronic stuff that Cisco wants banned.
Aha! All right, I'm going to be
Intellectual property.
Customs office.
Okay, good. Customs office. That's right. Good. So the U.S. Trade Representative approves the import ban on Arista devices, says rival Cisco. What Cisco has done, of course, is to claim that these things that are foreign produced or something like that impinge on their intellectual property. And of course, the Aristo people are saying, no, we back engineered this or whatever it is, and we don't. We might have in the past, but not anymore. And so they're trying to get a ruling. Well, of course, this is what companies like Cisco and those people do. If it's not intellectual property, then it's dumping or something in order to give an edge up to the local people here. And of course, this is what we've talked about this. Well, not so much in the Jimmy Doane show here, but in the old days we talked about intellectual property and the
right. And that's what this really brings up here. I looked at that article, and it's about intellectual property. And you know where I stand on that. Which
I'm
is,
with you.
From my perspective, intellectual property is not property, and the reason it's not is very simple and clear. It's because of the definition of property, which is something that occupies space and time.
Right.
And intellectual property just doesn't do that. The products of intellectual property do. You can make something and then it occupies a space and a time, but without that, it's just concepts. And me having it in my head doesn't affect you having it in your head.
Well, in your head is one thing, but this is now in a product, and of course, this also comes with like the record companies and copyrights, which are intellectual property. Claimed by the United, of course, it's in our Constitution. But a lot of this stuff just goes over the deep end. I mean, when you have to, the intellectual property that's involved in this particular thing is so arcane. You know that.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, it's the whole concept of the way we have it structured now is you own a thing if you're the first one to report to the Copyright Office or the intellectual or the patent office. If you're the first one down there with your forms and your fee, then it's yours and you own it at that point. And to me, that's a crazy imposition that we use to enforce property.
And that's only fairly recently too, isn't it? That was like one of the things that showed up was when Microsoft started putting a trash can on their windows, or the Lotus 123 was, it was the look and feel,
right?
And they were suing, and I think they might have. Everyone like
Sun Systems, and the whole thing was changed before the suit was even over.
Yeah.
It's crazy talk. To me, it's just a power grab. It's just something.
No question. They're big enough, and of course they're on the home field here and everything, and so they're going to get it. But they said they redesigned the software. And it switches and believes it's in full compliance with the ITC's.
Right. Well, that's just a legal dispute
about
the meaning of.
I understand that, the thing about it is, like for instance, when you talk about running down to the patent office, that's one thing. One famous one, of course, is Bell. He arrived at the patent office with his telephone patent about like 20 minutes before another guy showed up. And Bell got it. That was it.
And so the question is, you have to ask yourself is, shouldn't that other guy have been able to produce telephones at whatever rate he could produce them and sell them at whatever rate he could sell them, and thereby all the people that worked for him benefit from their effort, and all the people who purchased from him benefit from his being in existence? Or does Bell get the grant because he was 20 minutes first? You know, he took the other route to the patent office or whatever.
Yeah.
He had a faster car. He had a horse. Yeah, exactly. The other guy had a horse, I was going to say. And
I had to walk.
So, yeah. So, and to me, it's ludicrous once you
those
really
were
get down
actual
to
products, though. Those were
it. It
things.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, he drew up what it was going to look like and everything.
Yeah. So.
I mean,
to me, I don't care what you until it comes down to who needs the thing and who's going to make the thing.
Well, the other little minor problem you've got is it's in the Constitution.
Right. Well, all it says in there is that the Congress has the ability to establish laws for patents and copyrights.
Right.
And but if you look back before the Constitution, the origin of that, where they got that from, was something called Queen Anne's Law,
right,
which was a prohibition on printing presses. After the printing press was invented,
right,
a bunch of wily printers went out and started printing books like crazy, especially the Bible, and it threw a bunch of scribes out of work. If you were a scribe at that time, you were anti-printing press.
Little monk with the green shade and the scrolling.
That's it. You had spent your whole life doing handwriting and stuff like that. You were suddenly out of work because of these buttholes with this movable type. And so they went to the Queen and said, "You got to stop this." And she said, "Okay, no book printing until you guys report to the Queen." Basically.
Well, you had to get a license for your. For your printing press.
That's right. You had to be approved.
So then you had a right to copy.
Yeah. And if you violated that, you paid a royalty to the crown.
Yeah.
Which is, why it's still called royalty. And the whole thing is just a protectionist scheme.
Yeah.
And it still is. It always was. And there's no need for it. I mean, what I'm saying is that the economy would operate more efficiently. You take something like a song. You have a famous song over here, and then let's say somebody in China gets a hold of the song, and they form a band in China, and they play your famous song, and they make tons of money with your song over there. Well, what's happened? Some people would say, well, you were robbed because they went and made all this money with your song in China. Well, but you didn't do anything. I mean, all you did was come up with it, and you didn't do anything to distribute it in China and collect all that money. They did all that work in China. Right. And one of the benefits that you get for being the originator is, guarantee you show up in China, your concerts sell out everywhere. You sell T-shirts, merchandise going out the door because of this work these guys did. You didn't even know about it. You were here in the United States in Hollywood or something, and these guys laid the groundwork for your future success. And who would you rather see? The originator of a song play, the Rolling Stones, or a great Rolling Stones rip-off band?
Yeah.
There's no choice.
Well, there is, of course, what happens with that is the monetary thing takes over. The rip-off band's going to charge $5 a ticket, and Rolling Stones are going to charge $75.
Right.
So that separates the things out right there. But and I agree with you 100% there. The deal is, that especially today, when you see these little bands all putting up on YouTube, and they're selling out their own little shows.
Right.
I mean, they're going down to, they have now clubs that, if you want to get on, you want to play a set, you get $500 or whatever it is to bring the people in, huh?
50. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, you started, but I'm saying that the you go through, and now you can promote yourself literally worldwide, and when it goes viral, like the Beatles, or something, then you can sell out at the venues, and that's real working. Then it's not like you just, and of course I suppose you can press your own CDs or DVDs. It's fine. But if somebody else does it, so what?
Well, yeah. Well, and like I said, what people would say if somebody else rips off, like, you put your MP3 up there, and it's playing, and somebody else sets up a whole distribution system and makes a ton of money. Some people would say you got ripped off. Other people would say your work, your art got distributed for you.
Right.
I mean, that you don't. What's better than that? Your thing got put out there.
Well, I can tell you some music people that would very likely not complain a lot, and that is people that write the songs
Well,
and they write them for somebody, and they get royalties.
Well, and the market would change in that regard. And the way what would happen is you would have those songwriters would say, "I'm only going to reveal this song to you if you pay me $500,000 up front." And then you take the chance on the distribution and whatever else it is.
Right.
And the well-known songwriters would have contracts like that.
Okay.
And then they would write specifically for specific artists for specific amounts of money. They wouldn't get the royalties. They wouldn't have to. I mean,
Right.
it would be more of a just an instantaneous.
Well, in
contract.
fact, the artists, though, if it is some famous one, they may agree to give them a percentage of the take.
Oh yeah, and that as well. You can do that as well.
You know, 2% of the take on
There you
when
go.
play out at a stadium or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly right. This is why it's all like you say, it's all protectionism,
Yeah.
cartel, and everything.
Yeah, it's a boon on production, but from my perspective, the commensurate drag on distribution outweighs the.
Yeah, I agree with you. And of course, what happened? We've seen also that some of the originators literally went bankrupt because they were suing everybody in sight.
Well, and how about Prince couldn't even use his name,
Right.
Because Sony or Capitol Records owned his name. They owned Prince, and because of these rules and such, and it's like really now maybe that he did have a contract with them as Prince or something. Maybe it was contractual in that regard, but. But he couldn't even do like new material without their permission. I mean, there was some
Well,
some
that's
funky
why he
stuff.
changed his name.
Right, to TAFCAP.
Yeah, TAFCAP, right. So, but again, that's the distortion in the market that I just don't. I think that we would get, as you so wisely proffered, that I think we'd get a lot more variation. We'd get a lot more experimentation, and the winners would show up very nicely. I mean, even in technology, for instance, copyright or no, the fact is the iPhone outsells, 5 times the price of some of the other smartphones. But that's the market, that, and they
Right.
they do end up suing a lot for certain things. But basically, as far as the when you look at it, it's a people drink Pepsi instead of some. Or Coke instead of Pepsi, or Coke instead of some no-name cola, and that's So you don't worry about it. I mean, you shouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, no, they really shouldn't. It's
Okay, I got another thing here.
okay.
We're gonna move over to the Middle East.
The Middle East. Oops.
Uh-oh.
No, you're good.
I don't like to hear that.
I'm bringing you back to headquarters.
Okay.
Because I don't have a Middle East.
Okay.
My transport of the Middle East must be down.
Okay, right. Yeah, the little spots there where they have the
Yeah.
where you
Must have been a bomb or IED or something.
Yeah, well, it could very well be. The one of the things here, of course, is the Syrian. This I thought was kind of interesting. The Syrian pound drops sharply against the U.S. dollar. Okay, it used to be before 2011. I don't know what it was, but basically it's depreciated by 900% or something.
So is Assad over there printing up some bucks?
Yeah, but what's interesting, what's different on this is that it trades freely on the market at basically at a par for what people roughly the black market price.
Okay.
So I mean that they're not trying to
Undermine
by threatening legal and shooting action if you don't buy something at the official price. And I mean it's gotten down. The pound was trading at almost 520 against the dollar. And it's 550 in the black market. Well, that's about the same.
Yeah, marginal.
So I think that's interesting.
It's like the cost of the broker.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, and so of course, what they're doing is they're doing whatever they can do to get. They need dollars because so much of the stuff is priced in dollars, and you buy a lot of the stuff in the world. I mean, oil, for instance, and gold is priced in dollars. But it says here, economist so and so said the sharp drop in exchange rate was due to growing demand by the government to use dollars to buy petroleum products overseas ahead of winter. So apparently they're not producing enough oil or whatever it is that they need, and so they're hedging, and they have to buy oil's priced in dollars, so they have to dig up all the money so they can store it for the winter. there'll be a shortage in the market. The value of the Syrian pound has depreciated around 90% since March 2011. And of course, that's the inflation. Yeah, I mean 90%. But at least they know, quote, what it's worth. I mean,
Right.
You know, you can
It's
walk
not
in.
this hideous thing, this shelf-clearing Venezuela stuff.
Right, exactly.
Even in Syria,
Yeah, even in Syria.
man, bombs flying everywhere, they've kept the currency relatively.
That's not stable, but
No.
but for the normal guy,
Right.
you can walk in there with 550 of them or whatever.
It's
it is, and
stable enough. I
Yeah.
mean, at least it's not changing day to day, month to month.
Well, even if it is, they have picked it up, and it's Well, they did it was a 6% over the weekend. But it was like a little step thing there. And one of the problems is, of course, the severe their oil receipts have declined because of the fighting that's going on. Thank you, everybody else that's in there. The Russians and the U.S. and everybody in there fighting on one side or the other. And it says here that oil production has dropped to 8,000 barrels a day compared to 380,000 before the war broke out in 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, it's like a trickle. And of course, and they end this thing, as well as devastating the economy. The conflict has killed almost 300,000 people. So that's not going to work.
That's what you call a war-torn country there.
Yeah, that is. And,
Well-
and it's so sad because, you can it's the same thing, Saddam Hussein and all the other tin pot dictators or whatever it is, at least it was contained. You didn't spread all the ISIS and the other militias and everything all over the Middle East. I mean, if it was a civil war, nobody else.
We kind of spread a little Al Qaeda around. And
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, and ISIS is going from Libya to, to Brussels. I mean, they didn't even exist before people started meddling in other people's business.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Civil War should be constrained to the border of the whatever that is, and when other people meddle in it, it's of course they meddled in ours, which actually we wouldn't have be the United States without the meddling by the French.
Well,
The frog.
kind of cuts against the argument there.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that's in the past. Move on. That's what I'm saying. Move on.
Well, I have a related thing to just mention real quick. I heard, and I'd have to do a little research on this, but that ISIS is using a gold-based currency system.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
No. Really?
Yeah. You think about the concept that the craziest group on the earth has the most stable money.
Right. I mean, seriously, that's. I mean,
well, it speaks to their efficiency.
It reminds me, these are the things that are so obvious on its face, and you have all the other people saying, well, they're crazy people. And of course, you look at Bernie, socialist Bernie, and you say, but look at Venezuela. No, that's not the way we do socialism.
Yeah.
Well, how about any other socialism that ever worked? Well, no, we're going to fix it this time. Last 10,000 years, merely an experiment. So anyway, yeah, no, that's interesting. The ISIS people and so forth. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the Syrian pound. That they have learned, at least partially. They're not going to gold, but at least it floats so that everybody on the street knows approximately what they're worth, and you don't have to go do something illegal in a back alley, which I can tell you from personal experience ends up, when you end up, especially if you're a tourist, you end up with counterfeit money.
Yeah, I would bet.
I was in Italy, and psst, psst, psst,
Yeah.
I'll give you, whatever it is. I'm looking. I said, shit, you gotta be. Even I know that's not real. So,
I've been in your country 2 weeks, man.
Yeah.
I know what your money looks like.
yeah. So anyway, I'm done.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the Ukraine.
Oh, the Ukraine. Oh, I had a good border shot the other day. Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
Okay. This is another one of the finger-shaking, stern note, whatever it is, Hollande voices concern, quote, over Putin over Ukraine tension. So he's not happy with the Russians building, on the border of the Ukraine, because as you know, the eastern part of Ukraine is essentially Russian anyway.
Yeah.
And of course they've taken over Crimea, which is where the base is down there. So essentially they march through or right around part of the eastern Ukraine to get to their base and so forth and so on for all intents and purposes. And of course the fear is that now they are. Of course, it used to be sort of Russian-y when Mr. Shoe banging on the thing, Khrushchev was. I mean, he was.
Yeah, wasn't he the one that gave it to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, but basically, lots of Russians there, and of course, on the western side, they do speak, I guess, some kind of Ukrainian or something like that. But on the east side, apparently, it's a lot of Russian speakers. So anyway, the French president François Hollande, Essex Voice, is concerned over a spike in tensions in the Ukraine in a telephone call with the Russian premier, with Vlad, and the call, which also included a joint call, I guess. Angela Merkel came after Putin earlier this month accused Kiev, which is in western Ukraine, you know, the real quote, of plotting an armed incursion on Crimea. And Ukraine's president, whatever his name is, warned of a possible full-scale Russian invasion. And of course, this is what you do. You know, this is what they did down in Venezuela. The Americans are going to come down here, and of course, Obama, you know, didn't help anything by saying what's happening in Venezuela is critical importance to our national security. What are you talking about? You know, so anyway, this is what they do. They both drum up fear,
right?
And that's the way they stay in power. A growing number of ceasefire violations, which tells you so much about the ceasefires, and he underlined the risk of an escalation of violence that hurt the peace process. Mm-hmm. Ukraine has been in the grip of a conflict for 2 years now, and Kiev and the West accused Russia of supporting the separatist rebels, deploying troops across the border, which Moscow denies. No troops here. No, nothing to see here. And the tensions between Russia and Ukraine soared after he accused Kiev of attempting an armed incursion. Let's see. It basically, the article just continues along the same thing, and they're all warning each other. Each one of the presidents is warning each other. Look out! I see what you're doing here, and you're getting ready to invade us, or you're getting ready to conquer your other guy over there, or whatever it is. And this bickering, I guess, back and forth. I mean, it's so childish, it seems to me, in a way. I mean, because the people, of course, are living there, and what are they? They're trying to get to work every day, and while the guys up top are battling with, their soldiers. I mean, their people. They wouldn't have a problem with sending their guys in there as cannon fodder on either side. So
yeah. Well, this is still just evidence of the fact that these countries, all the countries, are still ruled by little military fiefdoms,
right? And
they get mad at each other when the other one comes into their turf.
Well, it is interesting, of course, that when you see that England and the Netherlands and Sweden and Norway are kingdoms. They're supposedly ruled by a king or a queen, but so what?
Yeah, well, you leave it in name only. Right. I mean, and then at some point maybe there'll be a resurgence. Who knows?
Yeah, right. And like the Calvinists.
Yeah, sure. There are periods in history where the kings and queens went away for a couple centuries and then came back to take over again.
Yeah.
Because we
established the throne.
That's it.
I know that. I think the Spaniard people they're trying to get their king back.
Well, yeah, there's the Castilian situation and everything.
Yeah. Oh.
But
that's whatever. Okay. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today.
Okay. Well, I got one small short thing here, and I'll just bring you back to the bunker.
Okay.
And then out of the local paper, actually, I saw this, but it's a federal issue, and this is just one that speaks to what you brought up a couple weeks ago about. The federal government sending its officious minions everywhere. Okay, so get this. This is the headline: Feds want to ban swimming with dolphins in Hawaii.
Right. Well, now you've lived in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, so go on.
And it goes on to talk about how they're not sure, but they're afraid that maybe these tours, when they take you out to swim with the dolphins, might be interfering with the dolphins in some way.
Yeah.
So somebody in Washington has taken it upon themselves to protect the nation's dolphins, as if that was a group.
Right.
And to me, it just kills me. It befuddles me that they would think that. I mean, how sanctimonious do you have to be? How self-righteous do you have to be to decide that you are in charge of everyone's dolphin viewing? I mean, what kind of dolphin scientist is going to say, all right, you know what, I made up my mind, and I'm going to lay a blanket across 350 million people, thousands of miles of coastline, and miles out into the ocean because I want to.
Well, I read the article, and of course it's not, they are always creeping, but this particular one was on a particular type of dolphin on a beach that has become a mecca for tourists during the summertime, and apparently they just, the tour guys are out there in 1,000 boats with people that jump off and swim with it, however it is. But he's proposing that that you can't go swimming with the dolphins until you're 2 miles out. Well, there's no dolphins there. These are some kind of spinner dolphins.
Right. They come back to the same place in the shallow bays every day to hide from prey. And
right, because they feed at night.
Right.
And what this guy's worried about is, well, they're all worn out and they have to sleep during the day, and these guys are going out there and bother. Well, you can't have that.
Right. And the thing about it is, they didn't even cite a study or anything.
Yeah, they said we're gonna study.
Right.
We're gonna study it.
The hell, I mean, there's people literally making their living out there. I mean, can you imagine you're a Hawaiian fisherman or something, and the big ships come in and take away your fishing business. So you decide to take tourists out to swim with these dolphins, and now some dude or chick in Washington, thousands of miles away, is going to lay this edict on you before they even do their study. To me, it just...
Well, it's nothing new.
That's a perfect classic example of the top-down.
Well, what does it
control.
say? Does it say anything in the article about people being happy about this at all? Obviously, the boat people are not happy, but anybody else?
Well, I'm sure there's I'm sure there's some of those people who are saying, "Leave the dolphins alone. This is great. We have to preserve the dolphins." And
they're smart mammals.
Yeah, whenever somebody says we have to preserve something in nature, I always want to ask the question, for whom? Who are you preserving it for? Because we're using them right now. We're using the nature, and we're enjoying the dolphins.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guarantee you that those boat captains aren't out there, gigging dolphins and stuff.
There's probably a law against that part.
Well, for sure that. But even if they could, they wouldn't be doing that. Okay, we're going to swim with them for a while, and we're going to pick your favorite one, kill that one, and we're going to eat it, take it home. I mean, no, that's not how it works.
No.
I'll bet you those people are more environmentally conscious than whoever this is in Washington.
Yeah, and the other thing that I look at is the government has become of no fun. I mean, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, foundational. No, these guys are always meddling and saying they can't do that.
Well, they think it's what it is. It's their happiness. Some guy or girl decided that they didn't want to have to think about dolphins in Hawaii being harassed by people anymore, and it's going to make them sleep better at night if they can get this thing passed, because they'll think they have helped. They're going to, I did a good job. I saved an X number of unknown.
Yeah, I don't know what it did.
Don't know what I did, but I passed a law
because I think it's moral.
That's right. That's right. Because it's right. That's what
How can you? On its face, you shouldn't be playing out there playing with dolphins.
The dolphins.
Because here in Florida, they have two places right down in the Keys. One where you can swim with the wild dolphins because they can go back out to the Gulf, and then there's another one where they've tamed them.
Yeah, well, I think they shut down the one where the dolphins can go back out.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Same reason.
Yeah. Why am I asking why?
Yeah, come on.
Because they can't.
Exactly. They were worried about somebody being mean to the dolphins or something. I mean, I just want to shake them. And what are you thinking? Why? Where do you get off with coming down there with your armed guys to shut people down in their businesses?
Yeah.
I mean,
because we did that. We swam with the wild
ones. Yeah.
And years ago, but now no mas.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you have to actually go out in the Gulf or good grammar.
Well, I think in Florida, from what I recall, in Florida, you're not allowed to swim with the wild dolphins already.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why haven't they shut down the tame ones, I wonder?
Because the tame people got out there and claimed. Now, it's probably all the tame people one's effort to say, oh, well, you have to tame them, otherwise you freak them out. That way they preserve their little business or something.
Okay.
But the tame ones, what they say is, well, we can't let them go because they grew up in captivity.
Right.
They'd never survive or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And so we have to do. And the only thing we can do, we have to provide for them. So we got to sell tickets so people can see them, so we can keep everything alive, or something.
Yeah. Well, there's no end to the meddling, and of course it's by the government. And of course, one of the things that's a bit of a problem, as we've seen over the years, even in my lifetime, rather dramatically, exponentially, the amount of meddling and the areas and where it goes. It used to be that you could vote with your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much anymore. I mean, the feds.
Well, and here's my question. My own question of the day is,
Okay.
how does this dolphin regulation derive from the ability to regulate interstate commerce, which is Congress's only power when it comes down to it?
Wickard v. Filburn.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
The fact is, the tourists came from California, and they're down there swimming with the dolphins.
If everybody did it,
if everybody did it, what
would happen to the dolphin population? Yeah. Try to draw a line from the Constitution, from the granted powers in Article 1, Section 8, to the ability to regulate dolphin petting in Hawaii. That's right. I'd like to see that line.
Well, the line. Let me tell you what the line is like. And of course, this is another typical government thing. The line is like the Colorado River.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Which now fizzles out, goes dry 1,000 miles or whatever from where it used to deluge into the
Gulf of Mexico.
No, it's the Gulf of right there off of. The Baja, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I mean, it used to it was like Niagara Falls, years and years ago. Now the damming and everything upstream and has done so much that it fizzles out. I think someplace in northern Arizona or something is dry. So government, thank you so much for. And that's what they do with That's how far. If the Constitution is the upper Colorado, and you're drawing a line.
Yeah, it doesn't make it to dolphin regulations from my book. So anyway,
we're done. Thank you. Give us a review, Jimmy Doane Show, on our website, and we'll see if we can make it back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock again with some new stuff. If you have any particular topic that you want, write us a little note. And we'll do as we used to say with the hanger dogs, little R research.
Yeah.
Not big R research.
No,
that takes too much time. We might even check something against Snopes.
That's right. Yeah,
that's as far
as little R right there.
Yeah, that's as far as we're going to go. No.
And if you want me to transport Jimmy to any location, I can do that now.
Yeah, our transporter was broken today to Syria, but other than that, we are expanding.
Yeah,
the spots where we have the transporter receptors.
That's right. I got TARDISes going up all over
This is great.
Everywhere. So
this is exciting.
So thanks for tuning in.
Yep.